Hare Krishna. Welcome back to the series Nimai's Adventures. Today we're reading Chapter 11, A Special Brahmana Visits Nimai's House. Mali walked to Nimai's old house once again. He was familiar with the twisting path now and made his way back reasonably quickly. When he arrived at the green pastures outside the home, Mali spotted a herd of cows grazing together. One cow, sitting on the grass with a champa flower in its ear, stood out to Mali. "Hello, Champa," he squeaked. "My name is Mali, and I was sent by my friend Prashad the parrot to talk to you. He said that you were here when the delightful pastimes of Nimai took place. Please tell me the story, dear Champa." Seeing the mouse's enthusiasm, Champa the cow cheerfully began narrating the story of Nimai and the visiting Brahmana. Once upon a time, in the land of Navadvipa, a very special Brahmana was traveling on pilgrimage or parikrama. On his journey, the Brahmana had visited many holy places all over the country, and he had finally arrived in Navadvipa Dhama. The Brahmana had a little Gopala deity he used to carry with him wherever he went, and would only eat food that he had first offered to his little Gopala. After walking around the town, the Brahmana arrived at the house of Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi. Once everything was nicely prepared for the Brahmana to cook, the Brahmana entered the kitchen. Nimai recognized the Brahmana to be a very dear devotee of his, and so he decided that he wanted to interact with the Brahmana, but in his own special way, to show his affection for him. Nimai waited for the Brahmana to finish cooking, and he hid in the temple room. Soon after, the Brahmana appeared with a plate of boga for his Gopala deity. When the Brahmana closed his eyes to make the offering, little Nimai hurried with his little feet to stand before the Brahmana and accept his offering. As the Brahmana chanted the offering prayers, Nimai took rice from the plate of boga in his small hand and started to eat it. When the Brahmana opened his eyes, he was shocked to see beautiful Nimai, shining like the color of the sun, eating the offering before him. "Oh, naughty boy, this is an offering for Lord Gopala, and you are eating it," he exclaimed. Nimai simply laughed and continued eating. Hearing the commotion in the other room, Jagannath Mishra came quickly to see what happened. He arrived to see Nimai eating the offering off the plate with an upset Brahmana before him. He immediately began chasing his son around the house. Jagannath Mishra chased Nimai until he was so exhausted that he had to stop. The Brahmana calmed Jagannath Mishra down and told him, "Dear Mishra, it is okay. Nimai is just a small child. I will cook again for my Gopala." Sachi Mata took Nimai to the neighbor's house while the Brahmana cooked again to ensure that her son would not ruin the offering again. The Brahmana went to the kitchen again and began making vegetable preparations and rice for the offering. Once everything was cooked, he served it on the boga plate and placed it in front of Gopala once again. The Brahmana closed his eyes and began chanting the offering prayers, Namo Brahmanya. He suddenly heard the copper plate moving and quickly opened his eyes to see baby Nimai stuffing vegetables into his mouth. "Nimai, what are you doing?" he exclaimed in shock. Jagannath Mishra heard the Brahmana's outcry and rushed into the room again. Shocked at seeing Nimai there again, he thought, how had Nimai come back to the house? He was not here a minute ago. He was locked in the neighbor's house with his mother. Catching Nimai by his hands, Jagannath Mishra sternly scolded him. He bowed to the Brahmana and begged for forgiveness. The Brahmana smiled and told Jagannath Mishra not to shout at little Nimai. Jagannath Mishra pleaded the Brahmana to cook one last time for his Gopala. The Brahmana gently passed on the offer to cook again, as he thought that maybe Gopala was telling him to fast from eating today. Hearing this, Vishwarup, Nimai's elder brother, fell and hugged the Brahmana's lotus feet. Moved by Vishwarup's actions and charmed by his beauty, the Brahmana agreed to cook one last time. Everyone joyfully cleaned the kitchen and prepared for the Brahmana's cooking once again, and called the Brahmana once it was ready. Sachi Mata put little Nimai to sleep to stop him from causing any more mischief. Two of the neighboring ladies guarded his room from the outside, and two other ladies guarded him from the inside. This time they thought the offering would definitely be successful. When the Brahmana sat down to chant the offering prayers, he had no worry of Nimai disturbing him. Nimai, however, is Krishna in everyone's heart, and so when the Brahmana called out to his Gopala deity to eat the bhoga, little Nimai came and did just that. How, you may ask? Nimai enchanted everyone to magically fall into a deep sleep, and he walked out to where the Brahmana was sitting. Seeing the little Nimai in front of him, the Brahmana gasped and exclaimed in shock, but everyone was fast asleep and heard nothing. My dear Brahmana, you called for me 3 times today to offer bhoga to me, and every time you did, I came to eat. Why do you seem so shocked, and why am I being reprimanded for answering your prayers? The Brahmana then saw an amazing sight before him. Nimai revealed his magnificent form as a Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord's form displayed 8 hands, 4 of which held the famous symbols of Lord Vishnu, namely the conch shell, disc, mace, and lotus flower. With 2 hands, he had butter in one and fed himself with the other, while his last 2 hands played the flute. The Brahmana saw the Lord's entire form decorated brightly with shining jewels. His curly hair was decorated with fresh forest flowers that circled his peacock feather. The Brahmana paid his full obeisances and tears rolled from his eyes in joy and love. This little child Nimai was actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he was so fortunate to see this beautiful form. You are my very dear devotee. This is why I have shown you my form. Never tell anyone what you have seen here today. This is a secret between you and me, Nimai said to the Brahmana. The Brahmana followed Nimai's instruction and kept this pastime close to his heart. After this, Nimai went back to his room and laid down next to his parents, falling back into a deep sleep. Mali was dazed from hearing such a fascinating pastime. He tried quickly to connect everything in his head. So this little Nimai is actually Lord Krishna. Mali had heard many times before about Lord Krishna, but he had no idea that this little boy Nimai was a non-different form of Krishna. This is amazing, Mali thought to himself. Seeing Mali's wonder, Champa calmly told him, Dear Mali, you must make sure you keep this information to yourself. This is a very sacred topic that many don't know of. As he is still on this earth performing his pastimes, he does not want anyone to know this information. Understanding the importance of what he had been told, Mali solemnly promised to keep it a secret. The little mouse carried on with his adventure and thanked Champa for telling him such an extraordinary story. Chaturbuji ki jai!
Join us tomorrow to see what Mali the Mouse gets up to.